right, hi once again, everyone. It's a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, the Valley's most in-depth weather video. We're going to talk about the short range, the long range, and all the challenges that we have in front of us. We're heading into an interesting time of the year. The weather lately has been pretty uninteresting, other than the mild weather. We haven't had a real good storm system roll through. We haven't had any snow yet, but all this is probably going to change in the next week. Well, the most interesting thing we've been talking about for the last few days is the supermoon. I always struggle with the supermoon thing a little bit because in some respects it's a little overhyped. The human eye can't really tell the difference in the size between this full moon and any other full moon. But this one is a little bit larger than a typical supermoon. It's also brighter than a typical full moon and just a run-of-the-mill supermoon as well. If you're new to this, supermoon is when the moon is full and also at its closest point in its orbit around Earth. So that makes it appear larger and brighter. Well, this time, the moon is actually a little bit closer than it usually is in that closest point of its orbit. In fact, it's been since 1948 since it's been this close while full. So that makes it, pretty interesting. But yeah, the human eye can't really tell the difference that much. Anyway, we had clouds when the moon rose a couple hours ago. But when I came back from my dinner break, the clouds had parted enough, the moon had gotten high enough in the sky that it was out. And the moon was officially full early this morning, but it's 99.5% full out there this evening. The clouds made for a great sunset this evening, but did obscure the moon for a while. We're getting kind of an offshoot here of this little low that's heading up the East Coast. No rain for us with that. Just the clouds. 57 degrees today. We hit the forecast right on the money. Just went out with 57 this morning, and that's what it was. So above average, and boy, that trend is going to continue as we head through midweek. Now, we've had some chilly, frosty mornings lately. Thick frost each of the last 2 or 3 mornings. And tomorrow morning, while it won't be quite as cold in most backyards, we'll still get below freezing, and there could be a little frost. Depends on the cloud cover tonight. If the cloud's thin enough, if your backyard sees a clear sky for a couple hours, the temperature can crater pretty nicely. Good radiational cooling setup once again. I think tomorrow we get well up into the 50s again before starting to cool off towards the end of the afternoon. I think temperatures tomorrow will be a lot like today. 56, 57 in most backyards. Also, a decent amount of sunshine for us tomorrow, especially midday and afternoon. Clouds roll in tomorrow night. Now, this little disturbance tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, not a big deal. I've only got a 20% chance of shower in my forecast. Don't think there's going to be a whole lot with that. Then the sky, if it does clear for a time Wednesday night, I think there could be some fog setting up here. This bank of clouds you see around the region is most likely either low stratus clouds or fog. And so we could have a foggy start to the day Thursday, but the afternoon looks really good once that fog lifts on Thursday. All right, the big story in the longer range, or the medium range, I should say. Big temperature swings on the way at the end of this week and heading into the weekend. Thursday, I think it's close to 60, 62 degrees. Friday, though, boy, is it going to be warm. I mean, we're talking about temperatures getting up into the upper 60s on Friday with the possibility of flirting with the record of 72. But I've skipped ahead here to the end of the weekend. Big cold front swings through on Saturday. And in the wake of that front, for the first time this year, some true Arctic air will come down across the Great Lakes and will produce some lake effect snow. And this could be a pretty good lake effect snow event across the Great Lakes into parts of the Ohio Valley. Notice our wind streamlines here, all blowing across the wide open and very warm Great Lakes on Sunday. The Lake Erie water temperature right now is a handful of degrees above average. The red line is the current water temperature right here. Average is the blue down here. Average at this time of the year is about 50. The water temperature is averaging up on Lake Erie in the mid-50s right now. That's very warm for this time of the year. So there's a lot of warmth in the lakes to aid in the lake effect situation. I'm just going to show you one model here. It's only Monday. This is mostly a Sunday thing, but just to give you an idea as to what this will generally look like, there's probably going to be some accumulations in the snowbelt. Lake Geauga, Ashtabula, and then heading over into Erie, PA, and up into the northern tier of PA, southern tier of New York. It's too early for specifics, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was enough to shovel in a lot of the main snowbelt. Now, down in our viewing area, especially northern Trumbull, northern Mercer, could someone, get a couple inches? Yeah, it's possible. We're going to definitely hone in more on this as we get closer to the weekend. Could everyone in our viewing area's yards at least be whitened on the grass? I think that's possible too. So, lots to work out here, but the first legitimate chance of seeing some snowflakes of the year so far. This year we've seen very little, if any, snowflakes, a couple of sleet pellets, that's about it. I showed this graphic last week or the week before. The average day of the first measurable snow, more than just a trace, measurable snow, is the first week of November, but we've gone as late as December 11th of 1995 without seeing any measurable snow in Youngstown. I did not want to show you that graphic. That's my fault. Wrong graphic. I will finish up this evening and talk about the winter forecast, which I put out, it was a week and a half ago now. Is this the graphic I wanted to show you? No, still have the wrong one in there. Let's see if I can find the graphic I wanted to show. Well, anyway. Winter forecast, go back and check it out. It's on my blog, ericwfmj.com, wfmj.com/weather as well. If you dig through the videos, you'll find it in there. Went with the idea of a colder than average December in a winter that is near to somewhat below average temperature-wise. As we get into the second half of November, I think we're going to make some revisions to that forecast based on the latest data for December. Going to play December as a milder month than we originally thought, and that will have implications on the overall winter forecast. But December in particular does not look as cold as it looked a couple weeks ago. So we're not going to stick with a forecast that doesn't look right, so we're going to update it. And so look for that around here, maybe later this week or maybe next week. Not sure when I'll get to it, but we will be issuing a revision to the December forecast. Good news if you are not anxious for the cold and the snow. That's tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here tomorrow evening, and I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11. Have a great night.